Mike of the Asylum here, and today we'll be taking a closer look at Hasbro's Marvel Legends Groot Evolution, or Evolution of Groot. I'm not sure which makes more sense. Anyway, here he is in his packaging. He comes in a standard Marvel Legends window box designed to showcase the figure in all its glory. Two things to note on this. As always, even though he's a retailer exclusive, we don't get the sticker on the box as our friends across the pond do. Here is a picture to show you what we're missing. Also, even though this is technically part of the Guardians Volume 2 wave, this box doesn't say Volume 2. We've only seen this on the first movie wave of Legends and the non-movie affiliated figures to date. If we take a look at the side of the box, you'll see a nice evolving Groot product mock-up, which features all the figures included. As we turn to the back of the box, we find a short bio for Groot and more product mock-ups. As this is technically a standalone figure, there is no cross-sell of other products from this line like we're used to seeing. Now let's get him out of the box and take a closer look. So here he is outside of his packaging. As you can see, there is some minor assembly required, and he does actually come with some extras. As the packaging would suggest, this is the evolution of Groot. So those extras are a tiny baby Groot in his pot and tiny little toddler Groot. It's also worth noting that these are not articulated and made from a much softer plastic. As you can see, we've got some nice paint apps here on both of these guys. The contrast between baby Groot and his soil is nice and subtle, plus they both have straight and clean eyes, which is shocking considering the size. Let's get the big guy assembled and see how big he really is. He measures in at a huge 9 inches tall. To put that in perspective, here he is standing next to the DC Collectibles Batman the Animated Series Joker, who is exactly 6 inches tall. I have to admit I'm a little blown away by his size, sculpt and paint apps. As with many Marvel Legends, if Hasbro can get away with using as limited a palette as possible, that's exactly what they'll do. However, the airbrushed moss green and more natural brown tones used for this are very striking and a huge step up from the Build-A-Figure Groot from the first Guardians wave. Not only that, but this has an entirely new head sculpt, which again is miles ahead of the Build-A-Figure. Otherwise, the rest of this figure is just reused parts from that original Groot. My only other comment before taking a look at his articulation would be that I feel his proportions are a little bit off. I'd like to have seen him a little longer in the torso and shorter in the leg by about ½ an inch. Other than that, I think he is great aesthetically. Moving on to articulation. He has a standard limited ball joint in his neck. I attempted to sit the head on top of the ball joint to improve his range of motion, but as you can see, this just looks silly. We get a standard pivot rotation in his shoulders, double jointed elbows and pivot rotation in his wrists. This is all fine. As we move down the figure itself, there is no waist articulation. We have a bit of a diaphragm rotation and a crunch, but I don't find these very effective. Because of this, you can't replicate many of his poses, such as when he bends down to look into the camera during the Nova Corps lineup from the first movie. Continuing down to his hips, once again we get a rotating hinge, however it doesn't work in the conventional way, meaning you can't have Groot kick forward or back. You can only have him doing the splits or twist at the top of the thigh. This is best illustrated by my attempt to get him into a seated position. It just doesn't work. Carrying on, we have a swivel and hinge at the knee, which works perfectly, and we also get great ankle pivot side to side, but a limited front to back ratchet, which I find quite odd. To conclude, personally I love the sheer size and aesthetics of this figure. He looks amazing and is a nice representation of his on-screen appearance. I don't for a moment think he's got the best posability and found it a bit of a chore to photograph, unlike many of my other Marvel Legends. I suppose the real question at the end of the day is, would I buy him again? And the answer is yes. I think it's a great opportunity to get the superior version of this figure without having to buy an entire wave of Marvel Legends. The only downfall that I see is the retail price of $24.99, which is maybe £3 more than where he should be. Unfortunately, he's a Toys R Us exclusive, which means if you want this figure, you're probably not going to find it cheaper elsewhere, so your best bet is to pick him up whilst he's still on shelves. And that about wraps up this closer look. Just so you know, there will be a gallery of images used from this review exclusive to Patreon subscribers. For more information, please visit patreon.com/theasylumshow, or simply drop me a message in the comments or via thecollectorsasylum.com. If you like the video, please be sure to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell so you know when future videos are available. I've been Mike of the Asylum, and I'll catch you again soon.